Beyond the gate. In a quiet neighborhood forgotten by time, where the cracked streets whispered stories and the flickering lampposts resembled dying stars, lived a little girl named Luna. She was 7, with eyes the color of the sky after a storm and a silence that wrapped around her like a second skin. Luna was autistic, and the world, with all its noise and chaos, rarely made sense to her. This may look like an ordinary story, but trust me, it's anything but. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful stories. Now, let's begin. But she found comfort in routines, in the rustling of leaves in the wind, and in watching life unfold through the narrow gap of the old iron gate in front of her house. Every day after lunch, Luna would sit on a small blue stool behind the gate, her tiny hands grasping its rusty bars. She didn't speak, she didn't wave, she simply observed. Across the street, in a house with peeling paint and curtains that never moved, lived Mr. Arthur, a man enveloped in shadows. A retired police officer, once known for his bravery and strength, now hardly left his home. Rumors swirled through the neighborhood. He had lost everything, his wife, his son, and the will to live. The neighbors viewed him as bitter, cold, even dangerous. Children avoided his sidewalk, adults avoided his gaze, but Luna knew none of this. To her, he was simply the man who sometimes appeared at the window holding a chipped coffee mug. At first, he ignored her. Then, he started noticing. Day after day, like clockwork, there she was, still and silent. There was something in that stillness that reminded him of the calm after a storm, strange but impossible to ignore. One golden afternoon, when the sun painted the street in warm hues, Luna did something she had never done before. She picked up a piece of white chalk and began to draw on the sidewalk just behind the gate. Circles, lines, patterns, nothing coherent to adult eyes, but to her it made perfect sense. It was her language. Arthur watched from behind his curtain. He didn't understand what she was drawing, but her movements were gentle, focused. Nothing chaotic, nothing random. The next day he left a piece of chalk on the curb across from her gate. It was a small, discreet gesture, but to Luna it meant the world. The following day she drew a sun, and so did he. Without exchanging a single word, they began to communicate. Through chalk, through lines, through color. A silent conversation, stretching across cracked asphalt and rusted iron bars. The neighbors noticed. Whispers turned into curiosity, but neither Luna nor Arthur cared. They were building something invisible, something pure. What no one expected was that this silent exchange would awaken memories in Arthur long buried, and that Luna's drawings would reveal a truth neither of them could have imagined, a truth that connected them in a way beyond understanding. And when that truth came to light, everything would change. Forever. Chapter 1. The language of Chalk Arthur hadn't left his porch in years. Not really. He would step outside to retrieve the mail, mutter a few curses at the weeds overtaking his walkway, and quickly retreat to the safety of dim light and dusty furniture. But that morning, something compelled him to do more. He filled a small paper bag with colored chalk, the kind his son used to draw with before the world broke apart, and shuffled to the edge of the curb. He placed the bag gently on the concrete, across from Luna's gate, and walked away. From behind her usual spot, Luna tilted her head, studying the mysterious bag. Her fingers hesitated on the bars as her eyes moved from the bag to the house across the street. She could see the curtains sway slightly. She didn't smile. She didn't frown. But she stood up, opened the gate with a creak that sounded like a secret being whispered, and took one step onto the sidewalk. One step was enough. She picked up the chalk, held it to her chest for a moment, and sat cross-legged right there. Then slowly she began to draw. A house with a big tree, a small stick-figure girl, a cat with uneven whiskers. Arthur watched, his breath catching in his throat. He recognized the tree. It looked almost identical to the one he had planted in his backyard decades ago, long before grief took over. He didn't know why, but he felt like Luna was showing him something. Not just pictures, not just chalk, pieces of her world. The next day he drew a dog. It was clumsy, uneven, and slightly ridiculous, but Luna looked at it for a long time. Then she added a leash to it, leading to a stick-figure version of herself. Arthur chuckled for the first time in what felt like centuries. Each day, their drawings grew. Suns with smiling faces, rockets, butterflies. Once Luna drew a rain cloud with a single blue teardrop. Arthur answered with a rainbow. Their silent bond thickened day by day. Luna would wait patiently for his contribution. Arthur began waking, up earlier, shaving, sitting by the window, and eventually walking across the street to leave his drawing beside hers. Neighbors began to murmur. "Isn't that the little girl who doesn't talk? That's Arthur, isn't it? I thought he hated kids, but neither of them cared." One morning, Luna wasn't at the gate. Arthur waited and waited. The sun climbed high. Still, no blue stool, no small hands on rusty bars. Arthur paced. His chest felt tight. It wasn't worried, no, it was something heavier. He didn't even know her, not really. She was just a kid, just a neighbor. But she wasn't just anything anymore. Finally, by afternoon, the gate creaked open. Luna stepped out, clutching a folded piece of paper. She crossed the street for the first time. She held out the paper with both hands, eyes wide, silent as always. Arthur knelt slowly, his knees cracking. He took the paper. It was a drawing. Two stick figures, a tall man and a small girl, standing in front of a tree. Beneath it, the word friend, written in blocky, unsure letters. Arthur stared at it for a long time, and then he wept. Not the kind of tears that come from sadness, the kind that cleanse. Chapter 2. The Gate Opens. From the moment Luna handed Arthur the drawing, something shifted inside him. A door unlatched, quietly, from within. That night, he placed the picture on his nightstand, staring at it long after the room went dark. The word friend glowed in his mind like a lighthouse in a storm. The next morning, Luna wasn't at the gate again. But this time, Arthur didn't wait. With hesitant steps, he crossed the street and knocked on her door. It opened slowly. Luna's mother stood there, surprised, guarded. "I'm Arthur," he said, voice rough. I just wanted to make sure she's okay." The woman's eyes softened. "She had a seizure last night," she said. "It happens sometimes when she's overwhelmed, but she's okay, resting." Arthur nodded, throat tight. He turned to leave. "She talks about you," the mother added. "She doesn't say much, but she draws, and she draws you a lot." For the first time in years, Arthur smiled fully. "I draw her too," he said. In the following days, Luna returned to the gate, a little quieter, a little slower. But she was there, and Arthur didn't stay across the street anymore. He brought a stool, sat beside her, and drew. One afternoon, Luna drew something that took Arthur's breath away. A medal, the kind he had received decades ago, before the silence, before the darkness. Beneath it, she drew two stick figures, one saluting, the other holding a flower. "Do you know what that is?" he asked softly. Luna nodded, then pointed at the flower. Her father's grave had flowers, her mother once told Arthur. A police officer too, lost on duty. The gate between them had never really been about iron or hinges. It was grief. It was silence. It was the fear of opening one's heart again, but now it stood wide open. They weren't just neighbors anymore. They were each other's bridge to healing. Reflection. Sometimes, the walls we build to protect ourselves become the very things that keep us from healing, and sometimes it takes the purest heart to remind us how to live again. No words, no promises, just presence. Luna taught Arthur that connection doesn't always come through sound, and Arthur taught Luna that even broken hearts can draw again, because beyond every gate, there might be someone waiting to understand you. All you have to do is open it. Enjoyed this story? Then subscribe to the Golden Words channel so you won't miss any others. Every day, we bring you touching and emotional stories. Leave a comment with the city and country you're listening from. Let's spread these stories worldwide.